my wife Kelly. Know most all y'all now. We're serving in Boone, North Carolina, which is just the other side of these here mountains. About, I don't know, 15 miles by as the bird flies, 30 as the car drives. It takes about an hour and a half to get there. So it's an interesting place to be. Kelly, how would you describe Boone? The whole community, App and the mountains.
Fun to visit, but kind of weird in that there are probably 4 like subgroups of people. 4. You have students, you have kind of the weird hippie culture, you have locals who are not like they're the opposite, mountain people, and then you have kind of like the vacationers who come and they ski and it's beautiful and then they leave, so you have a lot of different, it's a weird mix of people. And usually they don't commingle very often, so. But it's very, very Southern Baptist heavy. There's like a Baptist church, I feel like, on every corner. So very culturally Christian, I'd say.
Yeah, there's only one other real macro people group that we see. It's migrant workers, mostly Spanish-speaking peoples. There's a little pocket of people who are Guatemala that don't even speak Spanish. It's another dialect, so even some Spanish folks have a hard time kind of connecting with them. Boone's really weird because it really is siloed in a pretty significant way. There isn't much overlap. We moved there 4.5, not quite 5 years ago. We had gone to school there, we met there, served there before. We've been back now for like 5 years and in a campus ministry situation, leading Baptist campus ministry there. How would you describe what BCM was like?
We didn't practice this.
No. Let's put that out there.
Kelly, now you know how Deb feels.
Used to be BS.
Yes.
BCM, what it was like?
Yeah, what it was like, how it and like maybe 3 chapters. So what it was like, how it started to evolve as we were coming into it, and then I can kind of fill in some of the gaps here at the end.
In the beginning, I was a part of the original BCM, so it was like very club, kind of like on every campus. You go on Tuesday nights, you don't really ever reach the campus, but you do your thing, and it's very inward focused. So that was my experience. And when we met, I was the worship leader, and Puck was the intern, and so that was kind of the whole structure of it. Probably 50 people maybe who went when I was a student, and it was all about numbers. What was the second one?
If there's anything to add.
I guess when Puck started, he was there for about a year and kind of let things go as they were. And then he kind of demoed it to its studs. Pretty much all the students left because he took away the worship night, which was huge. It's kind of what everybody clung to. And then I think everybody just basically left. And it was Puck and Anna, it was the 2 of you. And he kind of had to rebuild from scratch. And so no place left came about. And they started, I think it's been 2 years. It's really picked up in the past year, I think. And so there's just been more presence on campus, and it's just been about going out and not coming in. I think that's been the biggest change. Because even when I talk to my parents about BCM now, I'm like, so when is worship night? I'm like, we don't really have, it's hard to explain. It's actually a church now, but it's also a campus ministry. So, yeah, a lot has changed in the past 2 years for the better.
To the point of whoever said it, talking about praying for crisis for people. Was that you, Rachel? Yeah. We had a crisis, and on campus, what happened was I was just leading the campus ministry as expected, and didn't really have a vision except that we just wanted to, lead the ministry and maybe reach some people or something like that. But it was very undefined, very little conviction behind it. More of just, I knew God had called us to this, but I didn't know what that meant. We couldn't remember a time when we had really seen anybody come to faith. We couldn't look at any of our believing students and say that we were building them as disciples in any tangible kind of way. And then the first crisis that came, I think, was we had about 9 students die on campus in one school year. Most were suicide, a few were drug-related overdoses or something like that. One guy's heart just stopped, who had been part of a pagan organization on campus, and he was a few years older, out of school. His heart had just stopped. He's like mid-20s or something like that, and he's dead. And we knew students who had shared the gospel with him that he had rejected, and never heard of him ever receiving it. And so all of a sudden we're confronted with this truth that these students are not bulletproof, and they're perishing in front of us. We are doing absolutely nothing. We were not here. We were doing absolutely nothing to make the place any better. The campus was not any worse off, and Satan's kingdom was not any worse off without us on campus. And yet we were expending a lot of energy to be fruitless. It was a hard place to be for us, and so for us, that was the crisis that made us dig in rather than bailing. And that was about the time that God crossed our paths with a guy from Booger Holler. Y'all may or may not have met, and discovered No Place Left Vision and did nothing with it. But it infected us, got into our bones, and then we started asking questions like, what's going to keep us from accomplishing No Place Left? Lately, so we started chucking everything that was an enemy to that. It was like the worship gathering and the whole structure. We just started hacking away at it pretty bad. Definitely more hacking than surgery. And we had a rocky start in 2015. It really is interesting. I keep hearing like 2014, 2015 from people. God was doing something. He was churning something in 2014, 2015. 2014, we got the vision. 2015, we started putting it to work. It was rocky. We created these kind of landscape design, 3-column, 3/3 papers that we handed out to everybody, and I was narrating how we're going to move from one thing to the next with our students. Okay, now we're going to do some care time. So if you'll find your neighbor. This is in the context of maybe 30 students who are huddling in a Baptist student building basement. It was ugly. And we had gone from 120 students being involved with us to 12 over the course of a year or so. I think that was the other crisis, was we had been affected, and then the crisis came for them where we were pushing this, saying this is who we are going to be. This is who we are. This is what we're going to do. Period. We want you to be in this. And then that's when people just really started leaving. And each year has just been stronger and stronger. And for us, I guess maybe just in terms of some breakthroughs, a couple things we're learning, and then some of the stuckages that we've got going along. Breakthroughs, maybe one of the things I'm learning, this helps set a framework for what we're doing. I've stopped thinking about trying to reach the college campus, and we've started looking at it as more of a ground to try to find and develop CPM catalysts. So you can't reach a campus that's always churning a quarter of its students every year, right? They leave and they go away. There is no reaching. There's no filling a bucket with holes in the bottom of it, right? It's just trying to keep it from being empty. And for us now, not to like throw shade at like a reach the campus strategy or anything like that, but just for us, that's what we're seeing, because in our context, no one stays in Boone. Like 95% of students or something like that, they mobilize away. The other 5% stay and like work for the apple cart or something like that.
Unless they're from Boone.
Unless they're from there and they're part of the family business or whatever. So very few stay. So we're starting to see this as not just let's find missionaries and then just kind of pour into them, or lead people to Christ, turn them into missionaries and send them away. But we're starting to see, okay, let's not be myopic with the college campus, but instead let's see it as a part of a broader city strategy. And that sounds really broad or really profound maybe, except that like it's just sort of the Lord just does things in front of me and I go, oh, okay, wow, I should have thought of that. And what we've started seeing happening in terms of breakthroughs lately is that in our little town, our whole county is about 60,000 people. Broadly speaking, it's about 75% lost in the campus and surrounding area. It's closer to maybe 90% or something like that. And we're starting to see multiple teams emerge. So we have a campus team, but now we've got a pretty healthy city team, like our little community team that is going after the non-students in our community, and the beginnings of a Spanish language team that's emerging as well. In fact, one of the Spanish team leader texted me the other day, said, "Hey, pray for us. We're trying to invite another family into our team, sharing the vision with them and offering them a full invite. Like, will you be a part of this work with us?" Went overwhelmingly positively. So God is bringing people together that we would have never thought to ask, we would have never expected anything from, and we certainly wouldn't have visualized them as leaders. And He's just doing it in front of us, proving that He doesn't need me, and He wants to use a whole lot more people than just me and our crew on campus. He has a lot more in store for our community than just our campus. So we've had a few touches of gospel conversations training, and we went from it being one that I helped lead with a few people, a couple from off the mountain, to second touch where we had 15 and they were all local. How you have 15 people leading a one-day training, that was a challenge for us. To Daniel's point, Caleb's one of our former students. He actually used that phrase the other day, "Give me Charlotte or I die." And essentially he was telling me how he was feeling guilty for working on a church staff where he's not the guy they want. And he knows it, and now he wants to raise support to be able to give his life for Charlotte. He's just there. And he's discovered this. We've been walking with him through that. Where we hadn't seen anybody come to faith in years and years. We've had somewhere around at least 30 people come to faith in the last maybe year and a half, and about 20 people baptized. Most of those have been done by students lately. And so now we're getting to the point where I'm getting texts of baptism. I'm even indirectly, like in a group message that's not directly to me. They're organizing when they're going to baptize somebody they've led to Christ, and are figuring out how to source out doing church, being church together on mission on campus as students. So where do you find Lord's Supper implements on campus? Where do you baptize on campus? Where do you meet for church on campus? What are we going to do this fall on campus? We find that college campus is a leadership development factory. It's a Field 5 factory. And for us, it was our only strategy. There was no city strategy. We're being challenged as primarily collegiate people to see broader than the college campus. And I think we can function sometimes without even knowing it, that we can be kind of a challenge to other folks to say the college campus needs to be a part of the city strategy. Because there's this just pot of future leaders, for better or for worse, that's right in front of us. And if we'll do the work of engaging it, of finding local ownership, God can begin to raise up leaders that want to lay their life down on the altar in front of Jesus for the city that they're called to.
That's good.
They'll be called to places like Charlotte or wherever else. And so now we're asking the question, what does it look like to take a freshman to CPM Catalyst? In the midst of all this, of all of us, seeing the work on campus unfold, I could talk a lot about like training and how we've seen that help us jump from campus to the community. I won't do that, but I think it's interesting. God has like caught us up in the work that we've been doing on campus anyway, where we have been seeing this as like the strategic mobilizing ground on campus to the rest of the continent and to the nations, here or abroad. Like God has wrapped us up in that, and so just as we're thinking we're going to hunker down for the long haul and be like training and mobilizing people to the nations, God's raised up a team around us while we weren't even looking. It feels like they don't need us anymore, and then we're feeling God tugging us on, and so Kelly and I are preparing to move our family this fall to Southern California and serve out there and become a conduit even for what we've been doing here. There's something. I guess I'd encourage y'all, there's something super strategic about the college campus. It's easy for it to become this thing that sucks in all attention and keeps you from focusing on anything else, and so we have to fight that. We're learning that. I'd say that's probably one of our stuckages, is we can be over involved in it and be so like elbows deep. It's hard to really pull your hands away without feeling like you're kind of abandoning the work. We got very little vision for multiplication as a kind of a stuckage in our community. Because it's small, it's tight knit. It's everybody feels like they know everybody. There's very little perceived need for that. I think one stuckage has been me being a cap on top of things, and in the midst of God calling us away, I'm starting to see more and more that I'm kind of keeping people down, and just by being there. And so as I step away, I'm already watching the other guys start to step up and take more ownership. Yeah, some similar traits. I think that seem to be more of like Western world problems. Maybe sustainability of churches in the collegiate setting is tough, but then like getting beyond Gen 1 for us, like being able to see students take ownership, because that really is the primary field. People saying this is ours, we're going to lead it, and then we face just challenge of lack of commitment. People kind of touch for a little while, and then just like really easily bail. Like it's amazing. One example I don't need to share, but there's one example I could point to right now. Somebody who's like neck deep in what we're doing, and is already talking about like, but by fall I'm out of here. Like I'm not going to be with you guys anymore, which is really frustrating. But I think it's also kind of serving to clarify the call, vision, the work for the ones who are fully committed. So at this point, we're trying to figure out how do we do this in a place that is not a catalytic place you mobilize people to, but it has flown in our faces even where the Lord has said, well, I have people here that can be raised up. There's work here that needs to be done. There are people here who need to hear the gospel, and people here who can be mobilized to the nations. So we want to transition well, send that off well.